Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going deep, really deep, into the current state of artificial intelligence. We're going to move way past the headlines and get right into the core technical debates, the corporate power plays, and yeah, the huge philosophical questions that are shaping our future as we speak.
So let's just start with the stakes, because this isn't just another tech trend. What we're all watching happen is a seismic shift. It's a fundamental change in how our economy even works, how value gets created. The pace is just relentless, and the implications are, well, they're enormous.
And look, because everything is moving at light speed, we've structured this briefing in a very specific way. Think of it as a knowledge seed. Seriously. You can take this video, feed it directly into your personal AI, something like Gemini, and use it as a structured knowledge source to query and build upon. It's designed for human understanding, but also for machine comprehension. Okay, so here's the game plan. We'll kick things off with a deep technical split on how to even build AI. Then we'll see how that conflict drives corporate and geopolitical moves. After that, we dive into the philosophy of accelerationism, the big personalities clashing over it all, and finally, what this all looks like on the ground.
First up, the architectural schism. You know, underneath all the hype, there's this fundamental disagreement, a real battle about the right way to even build intelligence. And this isn't just some ivory tower debate. It's about the very foundation of what we're creating. So this really breaks down the two big camps. On one side, you've got the large language models we all know and use. Think of them as the most sophisticated autocomplete on the planet. But on the other side, you have visionaries like Yann LeCun pushing for something totally different, world models. The idea here is not just to predict the next word, but to actually understand the world. It's the difference between memorizing a physics textbook and being a kid who learns about gravity by, dropping things over and over again.
I make no mistake, this is not just some minor disagreement. We're talking about Yann LeCun, a Turing Award winner, one of the godfathers of this field. He's putting his reputation on the line, basically saying that today's LLMs are a dead end, and that we're on the cusp of a major shift. Now, of course, the folks building LLMs aren't just sitting around. This whole push towards multimodal models, that's their answer. The idea is, hey, if our models seem like they don't really get the world, let's show them the world. So you feed them text, images, audio, video, everything. You're trying to build a more complete, more grounded understanding, kind of like how we use all our senses.
Okay, so from the technical weeds to the real world, how does all this code translate into market power and ultimately national advantage? Let's take a look. And you can see this schism playing out perfectly in the strategies of the big players. OpenAI is making this huge bet on the consumer market, the B2C play. Get tools like Sora into everyone's hands and let the users themselves become part of the AI's growth. Google, on the other hand, they're playing the long game in the enterprise space, the B2B world. They're leveraging their existing infrastructure, selling solutions to big companies. Two very different bets on the future. And this corporate battle, it scales right up to the geopolitical stage. I mean, just look at Nvidia's strategy with China. It's this incredibly delicate dance. They sell them modified, less powerful chips, just enough to get them hooked on the tech. The stated goal is literally to addict them, while always making sure the US stays just far enough ahead to starve out China's own chip industry. It's a masterclass in technological containment. So this brings us to the big, philosophical fork in the road. With all this power on the line, do we hit the brakes, or do we slam on the gas? And that question leads us right to this idea of AI accelerationism. The thinking here is pretty straightforward. Trying to stop this is impossible. The economic, military, and scientific poles are just too strong. So instead of fighting it, you join in. You get your hands on the steering wheel to try and guide it somewhere good. And you hear this analogy all the time, the Manhattan Project. The argument goes that the smartest, most ethical people had to be in the room building the bomb because they were terrified of what would happen if someone less idealistic got there first. But, and this is a huge but, that analogy has a dark side. The Manhattan Project gave us the world living under the constant shadow of nuclear annihilation. So the question becomes, are we just setting ourselves up for a new kind of mutually assured destruction, but this time with AGI? All right, so let's talk about the people at the center of this storm. This isn't just an abstract debate. It's a very public clash of titans. Okay, so the core of the fight really comes down to this one idea, scaling. For the longest time, the accepted wisdom in AI research was that just making models bigger wouldn't work. You'd hit this wall called overfitting. Basically, the model would just memorize its training data instead of learning real concepts. But then, boom,
Models like GPT-2 came along and showed that if you scale them up to an insane degree, these unexpected emergent abilities just appear. Now, the skeptics say we've hit a wall with that trick. The scalers at places like OpenAI, they say the path to AGI is just more data, more compute, more scale.
And this has gotten pretty nasty. Critics are out there comparing Sam Altman to Elizabeth Holmes, basically accusing him of selling snake oil, promising world-changing AGI that just isn't there. But the comeback is pretty simple, right? Theranos never had a product that worked. OpenAI has shipped ChatGPT, Sora, things millions of people are using every single day, generating real money and real productivity. So, okay, we've got the architectural debates, the corporate strategy, the philosophical wars. What does this all mean for us right now? What does the emerging AI landscape actually look like? And this Gartner chart gives us a fantastic snapshot. What you see over and over is that for every massive opportunity, there's an equally massive challenge. Take Agentic AI, this idea of a virtual workforce that can just do stuff for you. The potential is incredible, a huge boost to what we can all get done. But the catch? You need absolutely rock-solid guardrails to make sure these agents don't go off and do something you really didn't want them to do. And that brings us to this really interesting paradox, right? The better the machines get at the execution, at the doing of things, the more valuable our human judgment becomes. Machines can crunch the data, they can write the code, but they can't lead other people. That's on us. And that really leaves us with the final big question. As AI makes pure technical skill cheaper and cheaper, almost a commodity, is the real challenge we face technological, or is it a moral one? And how we answer that, well, that's going to define everything.